Alexander Volkanovski.
I didn't see this short guy. Bring him here.
Sure. Typical.
Does height matter in MMA? Is it really important in the pursuit of greatness? Stick around till the end to find out the truth. The topic of does height matter in MMA doesn't get talked about enough. Most people say that height is an advantage. Height is definitely an advantage in certain aspects, like striking, reach, and mainly keeping your distance. Fighters like Jon Jones, Israel Adesanya, and Alistair Overeem all have an insanely long reach. The advantage that these fighters have is insane. When Jon Jones fought Daniel Cormier, he had a 12-inch reach advantage. Jon Jones outstruck DC in both fights. You could credit that to Jon Jones's great striking, but also his 1-foot reach advantage had a definite impact on the outcome. Another thing about those tall and lanky fighters is that they usually throw surprisingly hard straight punches because of the long distance the punch has to travel to get to its target. For example, if someone with an 80-inch reach throws a punch, it will have more time to travel and gather power than someone with a 70-inch reach. But the reason why a fighter like Mike Tyson had such powerful uppercuts and hooks is because he had so much muscle on his body, which allowed him to be super fast and explosive from such short punches. Some people say that reach isn't that important, look at Mike Tyson, but you need to understand that he was so good at closing the distance, going in and out of the pocket, and had elite head movement. No one's going to be like Mike Tyson ever again. Tall fighters also have some advantages in grappling, like a longer reach. This can be useful when going for ankle picks. Long limbs help a lot on the ground or BJJ. The longer the legs, the easier it is to set the hooks to get the opponent's back. Also, it's easier to lock in certain submissions like a triangle choke and finding the neck on chokes. The long limbs make you really solid when you're on top because you can post out easier. Tall fighters can find submissions from positions that short fighters couldn't. Many BJJ guys say that being in someone's guard that is really tall or has long limbs is really hard because they can find submissions from that position way easier, like a triangle choke, armbar, or omoplata. Now let's look at the advantages of being a short fighter. We often hear the phrase, too short for their division. But throughout the history of the sport, we have seen many examples of great short fighters. Notable examples of this are Daniel Cormier, a legend in the sport, former Olympian on the USA national team, former double champion of the UFC. Demetrius Johnson holds the record for the most title defenses at 11. Henry Cejudo, Olympic gold medalist, former UFC double champ. Alexander Volkanovski, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC right now. All of these fighters are considered short, but throughout their career they have learned how to use their small frame and become legends. What do all of these fighters have in common? They are all world-class grapplers. I know Volkanovski isn't on the same level as the rest, but he's still pretty good. Not world-class though. One of the main advantages that short fighters have is a low center of gravity. This can help a lot with grappling as they are harder to take down. A low center of gravity means better balance. That's why shorter people are more agile and shifty. Having a good balance is really important in striking because it allows you to throw harder punches and kicks without compromising your balance. This can be why short fighters are really powerful. A shorter fighter has an advantage for hip throws and shoulder throws because it is easier to get under the opponent's center of gravity. They are also closer to their opponent's legs, so going for double or single leg takedowns can be quite good. Wrestling with someone that is super short and buff is really hard. It almost feels impossible to take them down. They are just so solid, which brings me to another advantage. The shorter fighter will usually have the strength advantage because of weight classes. All the weight that isn't used on height has got to go somewhere else. Mike Tyson had such powerful uppercuts and hooks because of his short and muscular build that helped him generate so much power. He could throw punches with such power also because of his great balance. His build also helped him to be faster and closer to the opponent's body, which makes body shots so good for short fighters. Being stronger helps a lot with grappling and controlling your opponent. This is why wrestling schools put so much emphasis on strength training, because it matters a lot in grappling. Shorter guys are more compact and hard to control. Shorter limbs can make joint submissions or chokes really hard. Going for an arm bar on someone with really short arms can be difficult because of the lack of leverage. and the arm can slip out easier. And good luck trying to choke someone with a short and wide neck. Take Daniel Cormier for an example. He's never been submitted once in his career. You could credit his high level of grappling, but he said it himself that his small limbs and thick neck has helped him in his career. Clip.
DC, bro, do you know why you've never been submitted? And I was looking at this as we were preparing for the show. Bro, you ain't got no neck.
I have no neck.
Yeah, like how do you rear naked choke a person with zero esophagus? It's impossible.
Them little monsters on the video game where their shoulders up right by their ears, that's me. I have no neck. I don't get submitted. My arms are like, bro, I have shorter arms than lightweights. Like, how you gonna armbar me? What are you gonna armbar? Like, I have nothing to submit, bro.
Now that we've seen the advantages of both, let's look at the disadvantages. Starting with the tall fighters, the main disadvantage in being a tall fighter is the lack of strength. It's not a secret that if you take two fighters that weigh the same, and one is tall and one is short, the shorter one will be stronger. Many articles say that an inch of height adds 10 pounds. This number varies by people and different heights. The point is that the shorter fighter will have more muscle or maybe fat than the tall fighter. Strength is really important in combat sports. I made a video that will help you with getting stronger. I will link it in my bio. Take someone like Charles Oliveira, for example. He wasn't known for his power and KOs. But then all of a sudden he started to KO fighters left and right. You can credit that to his strength improvement. Strength is the main disadvantage tall fighters face. Being strong doesn't only affect striking, but also grappling. Tall fighters also have worse balance and have a worse center of gravity. This makes them less agile and easier to take down. Moving on to the disadvantages that a short fighter has. Their biggest disadvantage is in striking. The short legs and arms make striking harder for them because of their short reach. The short fighter has to put in more effort than the tall fighter just to get close enough to land strikes. He needs to be much more efficient at getting close to his opponent. This can be with feints or footwork. A bad reach also makes throwing an elbow to the head really hard. Going for a head kick is much harder for short guys than tall guys because the opponent's head is higher than yours and your legs are short. To have good head kicks as a short fighter, you need to be super flexible. When grappling, short fighters have a much harder time doing certain submissions like a triangle choke because of their short legs. Controlling someone when you have the back is also much harder. It's harder to do certain movements like an ankle pick because of the shorter reach. Final thought. After weighing in the pros and cons, I think it's safe to say that height does matter a little. Being tall is an advantage in fighting. It makes striking much easier in my opinion. But there's a reason why MMA is separated in weight classes. Because weight is much more important than height. The most important thing is developing a style that suits your build play with your strengths. Consider the advantages and disadvantages. For example, if you are shorter than your opponent, don't try keeping your distance and play at his range. You should get close and use your strength advantage to beat him down up close. Whether you're 5'3" or 6'6", you can find success at almost any height. If you learned anything and enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Thank you.